Well, hey there, guy. Guess what I got today? The Sega 32X. We're going to go over it.
Press start, let the adventures unfold. Retro games and...
What is going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Jeremy Rewinds. I love this outfit. Definitely going to wear this to some conventions. Not really sure when I'm going to a next convention, unless, of course, if it happens this year, I will be at Really Rad Weekend is my intentions to go. If it's happening again, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. Up in Destin, Pensacola, whatever it is. I want to get to meet some of the guys that I love to watch if they're going to be there and if it's going on. As well as, I'm looking for some heavies this year. My goal this year, ever since January, and I know I'm digressing real quick, so bear with me. My goal this year is to get 3-4 items, right? I have spent a lot of time, energy, resources, you name it, trying to build this collection up. And as I've told you guys before, the reasons why we're going over 6 different videos about this collection that I bought is because I'm sick and tired of flipping VCRs for $40 to $50 a piece to make $30, $40, whatever it is after. If somebody local buys it for $50 and I had 10 in it, I made $40. Somebody buys it on eBay, you do the math, you take out your percentages and so on and so forth from there. But games are expensive, and if you guys had seen the video yet, a couple games I recently picked up cost me $300, and it was only 2 games. So that's about $150 a piece. And I don't like doing tons of work just for that kind of a return, because I spent $300 on 2 games. That $300 would take me probably a month worth of flipping VCRs. I'm done with that. So that's why I'm going to full collections. But that said, I got in a bit of a digression. When I go to conventions, I also don't expect to get the percentages that I do locally or through the internet. I am willing to spend more money because I'm looking for heavy hitter stuff. And talking about conventions, we are going to be looking for this November, if it's still going on, like I said, is going to be Little Samson loose for the NES. Good clean label. I figure that's a couple $1,000s. I'm not going past 16, 18, maybe 2 at the most. Anybody that's got them for over that, you can keep it. I'm not interested. I can go to eBay and I can pick them up for that price. So why would I spend more at a convention? Number 2 is Jack Bros. Jack Bros is for the Virtual Boy. It's the last game I need for my Virtual Boy collection, my entire set. I don't collect the box or the manual. All I want is the cart, and I have a very, very clean, completely refurbished from a local game company. The one eye come disconnected. It's just part of Nintendo's bad design on the adjuster for the eyes. All they had to do was resolder back together. I think it cost me like $35. Did a phenomenal job. Plays great. Sounds great. They cleaned the whole thing up. Super, super happy. Check them out. They're here in Orlando. I can't remember. I used to have a thing up there that had their name on it. Anyways, that said, they're over on Alafaya Trail, if that helps you. So Jack Bros, which should be about $600 to $700, somewhere around there, is my other target for this year. Not going past that number. Again, keep it. And then my third big heavy hitter for video game specific is going to be a complete in-box, and I mean the big box, of Steel Battalion. Steel Battalion was a game for the Xbox, the OG original Xbox. None of this nonsense that Microsoft does with Xbox One stupidity. The original Xbox, it had a big controller, monster center, 2 big wings. I mean, it's monstrous, right? Joysticks and levers and switches and knobs. It is for the hardcore enthusiast when it comes to game collectors, as well as those that love mech games. I do love both. I don't feel like I am a hardcore mech enthusiast, but it is one of those games that I do want. And a friend of ours had one time, and I remember being at his house, Brian, and wow, that thing was monstrous. He was so excited, but it is a very, very, very nerdy thing to want to buy, but I love it. I can't wait to get one, and that usually brings about $600. We'll see if somebody even has one like it. They're very hard to find, and when you do find them in good, clean condition, it's very hard to come by that. And that's specifically what I'm looking for, because the box is equally important to me in that. Kind of like if you look at any of my console boxes, I'm not looking for console boxes that have lots of damage to them. If they're, you know, kind of like this Nintendo World Championship, this thing is in beautiful, minty condition. Anyways, that being said, we're going to get into the rest of today's pickups now that I rambled for about 3, 4, 5 minutes. The SEGA 32X is what we're going on about today. This one is an adapter that went on top of the SEGA Genesis. This took your Genesis, which played 16-bit graphics, to 32-bit graphics. And this particular one is not... Okay, she's recording. This particular one is not in horrible condition, but it's also not in great condition. Not everybody took care of their toys the same way I did. One that you can see right here, I'll have to clean up these metal pieces on both sides, the back side especially. And I haven't also, going back to this camera, I haven't gone through the boxes in their entirety. So what's supposed to come with this, right, would be two things that a lot of people don't have. One is there's an adapter. The adapter, I believe, was used for the Model 2. You would put the adapter on this because the Model 2 Genesis was a different form factor, so you needed it to line up with it. 99% sure that's the correct one. I don't think it was the Model 1. The other thing both models needed were these metal clips. These metal clips would actually, if you pretend this was the top of the Genesis right here with these trap doors, these metal clips would go into the Genesis and hold that trap door open, so you could slide this thing in and out as necessary. The metal clips were a bit of a booger to get in and out. I'm not gonna lie, I've tried taking them in and out of mine so I can play Genesis games on my Genesis and or 32X, vice versa. You gotta put them back in to hold it open. But on the back side of this thing, actually I'll go to this other camera. On the back side of this, you have your AV out, your AV in, and your power. One thing about us kids back in the 90s, we were engineers. If there ever was a word to be used, is the engineers. So your Genesis, going back to this camera over here, you would take your Genesis, right, and you had your power and your output, right, and the output ran to your television via RF or the AV cables, the red, white, and yellow, red, white. And when this thing came along, now you have another power cord. And these power cords, remember, they were big blocks. They were monster chunguses. So now you had to take two of those and you plugged them in probably upside down on the power wall. Where did you have the opportunity to have more power walls? Because your TV was plugged into one, the VCR was probably plugged. You had to sacrifice. You had to get a power strip. And it gets so much more worse. So much more worse? It gets so much worse when you're talking about the SEGA CD. Yeah. Anyways, that being said, the 32X, you would plug your power cords into the wall. Your Genesis now ran from the back of the Genesis to the back of this thing to the input, and then the output ran to your TV. Doesn't sound like a lot, but a lot of times those extra cables, they're missing. A lot of times those adapters, they're missing. I haven't dug through these boxes. I'm trusting that everything is in here, and if it's not and it was listed as being there, then I have to talk to the guy that I bought it from. But again, I haven't checked that far ahead. I'm just wanting to get these videos done and out so I can move on with putting this stuff either in the resale pile or the keep pile. And I can tell you right now, all the 32X stuff is going to be for sale because, one, this is in horrible condition compared to mine. Now, I'm not saying this is in trash condition. If I didn't have one, this would be like buying a loaf of Spots' bread if you're from Michigan. Absolutely the best thing ever. Entenmann's Donuts, Krispy Kreme donuts, steak from Capitol Grill. Absolutely beautiful. But mine is in the ridiculous condition. It was like somebody bought it, used it once, put it back in the box, and never used it again, and then put it in their attic because the box is cherry. All the baggies, all the everything. I mean, everything's there. So I'm super excited. So when you compare the two, yeah, this thing looks like a dirt road. But as long as it works, it's going to make somebody else happy until they can get an upgrade or whatever. But again, that's just me. I'm picking on it, I know. But again, I'm just using it as a comparison to what mine is. So that's the 32X. You guys already saw there are 6 games. We're going to start with the first one, which is wrestling, which I think is WWE. Oh, WWF, World Wrestling Federation. The reason I think I said a second ago, just so you guys know, I am getting rid of all these because I have all these. And number two, back to this camera here, I don't collect loose carts. I just am opposed to it. Shame on Sega for putting all the 32X stuff, with the exception of I think one game, NBA Jam, might have been another one, in a clamshell case, a hard plastic case. But I don't collect loose carts. This has its value to those that collect it, and to me, I don't collect them this way. So if somebody is interested, you will see these things up for sale, and we're going to move on from there. Moving on from there, we have Doom on the 32X. The other fun thing about these video games, to digress, the SEGA Genesis and the 32X, it was supposed to be twice the better. It was supposed to be double the graphics, double, and guess what? They really were not. It was a marketing ploy, kind of like Aladdin deck enhancer for the NES. It was a marketing ploy to try to extend the life. And maybe there is subtle variations, maybe there's some color depth differences. I don't really know. It's kind of like playing Outrun on the Xbox and the Outrun Coast to Coast, the $300 version of the game. They are the same game, just one I think has more music or something different. It was a slight difference. And honestly, from what I've seen on gameplay, the original Outrun actually looks better than the updated one, the one that's more money. Either way, I gotta buy it at some point. I have the other one. I have the cheap one already. All right, moving on. We have Star Wars. This Star Wars label is not in actually bad shape. I still think mine's probably going to be in better shape. I got to double check it. These other two, as you can tell right here, it's kind of dull, which is nice because that means not a lot of fingers were on it, where this one you can see is very shiny. That's all this oils in our skin rubbing against it, and you can see it's definitely been used. And this one is about the same thing. It's definitely shiny, and it has... it definitely has some wear to it. Nothing bad, but this is, I think, the one that Arcade 1-Up people did as a machine. Moving on from there, we got the not for resale Virtua Fighter. I used to call it Virtual Fighter, and it's Virtua Fighter, and this is not for resale. I'm sure this probably came as a pack-in for the 32X console. I guess I could do some research into that, but typically when there's a not for resale, it's a packing with something. So I don't see any reason to keep it. Mine I know is in better shape, even though it's a not for resale. Don't care. Moving on from there, we've got again another Virtua game. This is Virtua Racing Deluxe. This one I know I also have as well. The cart's actually not in bad shape. There's a little goo down here I'll have to clean off before I flip this off. That's the one thing I've never understood about resellers or even collectors in general. If you buy something, why not, if you're going to put it on the shelf, put it in the condition that you're going to be happy with. If you're happy with stickers and residue, that's fine. To me, I'm not. If you were buying this just to resell, you should go through and do stuff. I know Retro Rick, he's talked about what does refurbishment mean and things like that. Like at his game store, he only cleans his stuff. He doesn't refurbish them. He just wipes them off, makes sure they works, and that's it. They basically move on with life. For me, I like to tear into the stuff. I'd rather open it up, look at the guts. If it's a PlayStation 3, if you've been on my TikTok, I did a PlayStation 3 short about how I opened a Slim up, put new thermal paste, cleaned it out. Works great now. Was overheating when I bought it, and we went forward from there. But I would rather do stuff like that to the more modern stuff, and the older stuff like the NESs. I usually put a new pin, 72 pin in there. I do want to try. I haven't tried it yet, but somebody said if you take the pins out and you boil it, because the original pin, the 72 pin, is a better pin than these ones you get off of Amazon. That's fine. It's fair enough. I'll buy into that 100%. However, boiling it, I don't know. You guys tell me down below. Have you ever heard of that? Somebody said boiling it. I don't know. Anyways, our last and sixth game in this is Motocross. This label is definitely got some lines in it right here you can see, and there's some label ripped off right there, whatever. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. So this whole thing will be going for sale once I get everything officially cleaned up and definitely tested, and then I can list it. What will I be able to list it for? I do not know. I know that the 32Xs usually go for about $100, pending it has all the stuff. If it's just the thing by itself, like this could be, again, I haven't looked in all the boxes to see what is here. I'm going to assume, for just argument's sake for this quick video, that this is all I have. That he did not have the pins, the metal clips. He did not have the adapter. He doesn't have the wires. He doesn't have the power brick. I'm going to assume all of that, and if that is the case, then it would be reflected on the price charting thing that we agreed to. And if that is the case, I can't imagine getting more than $50, maybe $75 at very best for this thing, because you're missing a lot of pieces that it needs. The game's $15, $20 a piece on average, say. If you were to do minimum $10 a piece, that's $60 plus 75 puts me at about we'll say $150 just for argument's sake, 75. But if it is all here, and or some of these games do go for more than that, maybe I could get as much as $200 for it. Either way, it's all going to be for sale, and it's all going to go towards reducing my investment into this whole collection that much more. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time for the next part. So far, we've done Genesis. Whether or not you've seen it, I don't know. We've done the Master System, and now the 32X, and we still have 3 more to go. Dreamcast, Saturn, and Sega CD. Brain fart. We'll see you guys next time right here on Jeremy Rewinds.